Spring is here, and that means prom season for many of my mom friends, or maybe you're even a mom with a son or daughter getting married soon. Well, I have the best tip for you: Suit Shop. We learned about Suit Shop while planning Connor's wedding last year, and we're so impressed with the quality and the service. With Suit Shop, you can purchase a suit or a tux for less than what you'd pay to rent in most cases. That's right, you pay less and keep the suit or tux. I wish I'd known this when my boys were in high school. Choose from classic or more modern styles and fits. You can shop using the links in our show description and use the code GIFMM for Got It From My Mama to receive a free tie with purchase. From proms to fitting an entire wedding group, just visit suitshop.com and thank me later. Kim Holderness is part of the fantastically funny husband and wife duo Kim and Penn. They make up the Holderness Family. Their social media comedy sketches have us all smiling at their sometimes too relatable content. With more than 2 billion views, over 8 million followers across social media platforms, Penn and Kim are best-selling authors, award-winning podcast hosts, and were winners on season 33 of The Amazing Race. I loved going behind the scenes with Kim to learn more about how the fun began, what a typical workday looks like, and you'll never believe what they use for fake snow in those Christmas sketches. Let's jump in now with Kim from the Holderness fam. Kim, it's so awesome to get to meet you. It's so funny when you meet someone that has been making you laugh for 10 years now. It's a pretty awesome thing.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me here. And yeah, it is weird to like know somebody from the internet, then actually get to talk to them. So this will be great.
Yeah, that probably happens to you all the time as well, just in interactions. And so, do people respond to you, or I guess I should say react to you, like when you just try to go to Target and they're like, "Oh, there she is. I know her from the internet."
Yes. And people are obviously they're very nice. So they're not going to be internet trolls to your face. But yeah, and my husband is 6'5" and he has, like very like gray hair that kind of stands out. So especially if I'm with him,
Yeah.
he's kind of like a magnet for attention. But again, it's great. And I think there's been plenty of other people who just, send us a note later, like, oh, I saw you at Target or whatever. But it's everybody's very, very nice. And
I live here in Nashville, so we have, just so many country art.
oh my
You'll go to the
gosh.
grocery store, you'll go to Barnes and Noble, wherever it is, and people are so respectful and good about it. But
Yeah.
you can't help but know, even as someone who, like you, was on the news for years, you can't help but know when people are like, "I think that's her. Is that her?"
Yeah. Well, and I think also the difference, in Nashville, you have these like really famous country music stars. I don't consider myself like I don't feel like I'm a celebrity or famous, but I'm somebody from the internet, and I think people feel safe, which I'm glad, but they feel safe like we are friends, and so
Yeah,
they do come up and say hi. Whereas if Jennifer Aniston was sitting down eating dinner, nobody would bother her. We'd all be scared to,
yeah.
"Oh my god, she's there." And we'd all be like taking pictures very coyly. So, but I think that's part of the good thing too. I think people feel like they know us.
Which is like you said, part of the positivity of it all too. So I want to know a little bit more about you growing up. You grew up in Florida, right? Okay. And then were you kind of the funny kid in your family, or was it really more the combination of what Penn brought out in you that created this duo of humor?
I'm thinking back, no, I was a dancer by training, so I was dancing like every day after school till 9 o'clock at night and then doing homework. So it's always sort of a performer. I was a news reporter, and the first time I realized that like, oh, you can be funny is when I would they call them feature news packages in the local news where you can have a little more fun with a story.
Yeah, we always called them the kickers.
The kickers, right, and they were
Yes.
always like 45 seconds long. But I could have a sort of built a reputation in the stations I worked at. I could do a fun feature story, and even I worked at Inside Edition, and I would pitch fun series, because I just loved having fun, and I didn't really ever consider myself like funny or a comedian or anything like that, but it's sort of what we do. I mean, we try to, and in our own weird way. I think I was very, and I am continue to be, I am more introverted.
Hmm.
So as a kid, I was not the cut up. I was like the rule following quiet girl in class. And yeah, so I think there's nothing in my childhood that points to what I do today. In fact, it's the very opposite. People from my school are like, I cannot believe that that's you on the internet.
Tell me about meeting Penn. You both have backgrounds as reporters, right? Kind of had careers as storytellers, which I think does play so beautifully into the career that you guys have been able to create.
Yeah, so we were reporters at. He was a sports guy. I worked news at opposite stations. We were working in Orlando. I was at the CBS affiliate. He was at the Fox affiliate. And when you work 3 to midnight, it's a really small pool of people that you can socialize with, because if you're not getting off work till like midnight, 12:30, it was really incestuous. So all the people from the night crews from all the stations would go out afterwards, and we'd go to a bar, have a drink, just socialize like all the TV station people. And he was there, and I thought he was adorable. I thought he was very cute. I thought his name was Ben, like Benn, or Ben, for like 2 weeks. And then I saw him on TV and it said Penn. I was like, well, I got that wrong. So that's how we met.
So cute. How long did y'all date before you got married?
He proposed when we had been dating for about 9 months, and 9 months later, we got married.
Okay.
Within 2 years, we got married. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want a big family? Did you both know that you wanted kids? Kind of what's your motherhood journey?
Good question. Always assumed I wanted kids, never really put a lot of thought into it. I'm sure if it were up to Penn, we would have like 5 kids, but I did not do the best with the postpartum part of having children. So two was our max. Two, we're done.
You were
So
good. You were good. You got a boy and a girl. They're healthy. You're good, right?
we're done. Yeah.
So you guys had a video company, a production company, and then I love the story of the very first video, and because we've all been there, trying to get the Christmas card picture made with the kids, right? Tell
Right.
me, take me back to that, which is now what, like 11 years ago?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
They were so
So
little.
there were babies. I had quit a job. We moved from New York. We moved down to Raleigh to have a simpler life. And I had quit my job at the local news station here to start a production company with a girlfriend of mine. And that was when social media was new. And we just had this attitude like people needed social media. So we were going to offer social media management, whatever in the heck that meant. Like we were doing that plus video production. And she and I had built up a bank of business that Penn was editing all. I would go out and shoot all the videos, and then he would edit from like 9 a.m. to 3 and then go into work from 3 to midnight. And I said, babe, I can't promise I can pay you, but I think if we're going to grow this, you need to quit your job. And he wasn't seeing the kids ever. I mean, when you work like that, you don't ever see the kids, and they were in school. So I convinced him to quit his job, and we decided we would announce his departure from the news by doing a video. And my kids, they'd never sat still for Christmas card pictures. So this sort of checked the box of like, we'll send this as our video Christmas card. And we will tell everybody in our family, in our community, that Penn has quit his job and that we're available, hire us. We're available for hire. And we put our website on there. And we really honestly, truly thought that it's silly and goofy enough, and that my mom would share it, and that people in town would see it, and that they would, when they were hiring production companies, they would think of us. We had no idea that video would go viral. It's called Christmas Jammies, and I think it was a combination of things. It went and got some traction online, and then I think it was a slow news week because it was on the Today Show, it was on CNN. They played it entirely on news shows, like, they played the whole video. So that just, A, doesn't happen anymore, but I think it became bigger than it was meant to be. I can promise you we didn't know it was gonna go viral because we had our address in there, we had my license plate in there, we said what name of the street we lived on. We were idiots. So but it did go viral. I think it got 15 million views in less than a week,
Do
and
you
that.
remember those days of like, like looking and just flipping through the phone and being like, oh my goodness, we're at this number, we're at this number.
Yeah, and we never knew that you could make video, or you could make money on YouTube. We had no idea. Like, we didn't know that that life existed.
Yeah, I was even thinking about how much the term influencer, it feels relatively new. Like when you set out or started having some success, I'm sure that word wasn't even in your vocabulary when it came to putting out content.
No, and for the record, we made that video, we got about 10,000 emails. Most of them were perverts, but we had several hundred people who wanted to hire us to do something similar. For the next 3 years, we did not make consistent videos ourselves. We were still mainly doing things behind the scenes. But the whole, I think, influencer, I don't know why, and people use it and they're proud of that, and I celebrate you if you do. I don't like the term influencer
I
personally.
don't either. It feels so foreign to me. Or when I do something that has to do with the podcast, I'm like, could we use the word like encourager? I might encourage you to.
Or we just say, like, such an awkward thing at a cocktail party to be like, "What do you do?" And it's a content creator, but then, like, what's content? So, it is always kind of this long story of what we actually do, but yeah, influencer feels very transactional, and that is not why we got into it. So it wasn't until 2016 when we sort of sold off our part of that production company that had grown. It had become pretty successful. And in 2016, we were like, okay, it's just going to be us. It's just going to be the videos we do. So it took us a while to figure out all of that.
Who's more of the idea person in the relationship?
And Penn will even tell you this, and I think it's reflected in our content. I come up with a lot of the ideas.
Really?
Yeah. I think I'm extremely empathetic. I can look around at the world. And if I don't have an idea for a video, I'll go to Target, I'll go on a walk, I'll go like look around at life, and I usually come back with a few ideas. He is the one that makes the ideas great.
Mm.
So we are a good pair like that. By the way, he totally comes up with stuff too. But if he can yes and it. For example, I'm late 40s and I do a lot of online shopping. I was shipped a package. I'm like, God, this is a really good box. Like, I don't want to throw away this box. Like, I might need it for something. And he's like, babe, just put it in the recycling. I'm like, no, this is a pretty good box. And then I said, we should do a video on how, like, we're at the age where we like save a pretty good box.
Which is so funny because that was just a conversation. So we
Yeah.
have the Amazon boxes, and I'm thinking, what if that's the size I need?
And it was like a
Yeah.
durable, like a good, you could ship something in it. It was a good box. And so I said, you should do like a power ballad on like how I save boxes. He goes upstairs, he comes back 20 minutes later with some sort of song because he has this weird, crazy talent. He can come up with stuff so quickly. We'll shoot it, we'll post it very quickly. It is not perfect, but that he did that song Pretty Good Box, and it, has tons and tons of views because it's just like looking at around those things in your life that are funny, and they're
Yeah.
funny for everybody. Like, it's funny for, like, you do that too.
For sure. It's the relatability of your content that I think is definitely the secret sauce to the success that you guys have had, because the people who are watching it are either relating to the couple's issues or things or the covers or whatever it may be, but there's just always something there that either somebody does this or you do it yourself. That's the magic you guys have found.
Well, you're very sweet to say that. I would say also real life is very funny, and we are funny and can write comedically on this like very narrow slice of life, which is our lives. I would never know how to be a stand-up comedian. I would never know how to write for SNL because I literally don't have the comedy brain when it comes to anything else but my own life. So we are lucky to live in a time in which I can do that because yeah, you could just like make your life funny.
Moms, I can't encourage you enough to make time for yourself by finding a moment of peace, encouragement, and reassurance, and would love to recommend two beautifully written devotionals written just for moms. Max Lucado's Grace for the Moment for Moms offers 50 devotionals filled with thoughtful messages of faith and God's grace for mothers. This devotional celebrates everything moms do and reminds you of how deeply loved and appreciated you are in God's eyes and in your families. And in Jesus Calling for Moms, Sarah Young shares devotions crafted to celebrate motherhood. Along with journaling prompts and uplifting reflections, this devotional invites moms to lean into God's guidance during every season of life. Give yourself or a mom you love the gift of comfort, faith, and a reminder of your incredible impact. Grace for the Moment for Moms and Jesus Calling for Moms are available now wherever books are sold. Whenever Tucker and I go for a walk at the park, people always comment on his beautiful coat. He is a handsome boy. We bathe him in the Coat Defense Sensitive Skin Shampoo, and it really helps to keep his coat soft, shiny, and fresh. In between, we use the Coat Defense Daily Preventative Powder. This powder acts as a dry shampoo and actually repels dirt, and it eliminates odor. It comes in a refillable, convenient shaker, and Tucker gets so excited when it's time for his brush and his powder. He stays cleaner, fresher, and I'm just a happier dog mama thanks to Coat Defense. Try it out and let me know what you think. You can visit coatdefense.com and receive 15% off your purchase when you use the code MOMMA15. That's MOMMA 15. It's official. I've got all my girlfriends hooked on bare-faced toning pads. I knew they'd be thanking me once they tried these powerhouse treatment pads that are packed with skincare acids, antioxidants, and hydrating ingredients to tackle dullness, rough texture, and breakouts. They enhance the performance of all my other products, and I've noticed my makeup just goes on a little more smoothly. If you're ready to switch up your skincare routine, try pairing them with Overachiever, bare-faced 10-in-1 serum for a simple but effective routine. Don't forget to grab 15% off your first order with the code MOMMA15, that's MOMMA 15 at barefaced.com. How important was it to you guys when you started the journey that you wanted to keep this clean, family friendly, and to really kind of emulate who you were?
Right. That was never even a discussion because our kids were in those first videos. They were really young and, we have some guilt over that. I think they are grateful for what it's done and they're very proud of us, but I do feel some guilt over the fact that we put them in a video. They couldn't consent. They were like 4 and 6, 3 and 5. I mean, they were babies. Yeah, like 4 and 6. And, they were in the following we would put out a video, like, here and there after that, like, occasionally, but not and they were in those. So it was never even a discussion that we would try any other way. Now the content in soon after that, Penn and I focused mostly on stuff between he and I, more, marriage partnership, because first and foremost, the kids, like, they get so busy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was never like they would want, and there was a time like they really, really wanted to be in the videos, but there was just never time. But again, like they would watch them. That was never even a discussion.
So because they were so young when you started out in this journey, did you even have to go through the awkward teenager issues of don't post that? Oh my goodness, that one's embarrassing. Or have you had to deal with any of that having now teenagers?
Okay, good question. We have this talk all the time. I'm like, we'll delete Christmas jammies. I don't care if they do not want something on the internet. I'm going to pull it down. And this is where if they ever got upset with us, I'm just putting it out there. They said, yes, I want to be in this video because it was this fun family project. It was this fun family thing to do. They were 8 and 9. Like, did they really know what that meant? So by the time they were 8 or 9, like 10ish, we stopped using them as frequently because I don't know. I think it was a different time. I won't make excuses for it, but I definitely felt like, oh crap, our kids can't even really consent to this. And anything, even back then, but anything we ever shot, we let them see first. We let them post it. Um, I think there was only one video my daughter wanted pulled down, and it's because it had her singing in it, and it was only a couple days after we posted it. And she has the sweetest little voice. She was like 9, and she's like, "No, I don't want to have it." And so we deleted it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard if you see them. And first of all, we've always paid them ever since Christmas Jammies. They have Coogan accounts, which are trusts that like child actors have. But then they also have accounts that they get access to later. They get paychecks, they have a Roth IRA, they have a 401k. They have they get regular, they are paid. Again, it's not like a bargaining chip we use. I will say if they're short on cash, they will come to us and be like, "I have an idea for a video." That means they wanna get paid. Because like, what my daughter will babysit, but you know what pays better than babysitting is being on a video on the internet. So, we joke that they're coin operated. If you see them in a video, you know that they're like, "Give me some cash." So and now they're almost 15 and 17, and they definitely can consent. They definitely are aware. Yeah.
So I want to hear if there is a story for either one of you. Either you've had to talk him into something that he didn't think would fly, or maybe he had to talk you into it and it ended up paying off.
You mean in terms of a video or
Yeah, like like okay, I have this idea. Like, is there something that comes to mind where you're like, I don't know that.
Yeah, I and I think you can see me in the videos. He pitched sort of the series where he does impressions of people like Weird Al and Dave Matthews Band and the guy from Green Day. And it'll be like, Weird Al narrates Thanksgiving. It'll just be me doing stuff, and then like a Weird Al character will pop up in the back. Or Dave Matthews narrates Yard Work. And it would just be a series of parodies where he's sounding like Dave Matthews. And I was like, I don't know, that sounds really weird. But he's like, let's just shoot it. Let's just shoot it. Oh, and he had one, Alanis Morissette narrates Homework or
I
something.
remember that one. Yes,
He had the
yes.
Alanis Morissette one.
Because his Alanis Morissette was eerily good.
It was a little too good. And I was like, y'all, this sounds weird. And then it blows up. Yeah. So I would say most time, we just shot a video today that I'm like, this is either going to be really, really funny and the internet's going to love this, or we're going to be asked to leave the internet because this is so stupid. Yeah. So we never really know if something's going to work.
What is balancing creating content and all the things that come with that, because it is a business. It looks like fun and we get to see the end product, but there's so much that goes along with what you're doing with a 15 and 17-year-old. I mean, there's got to be rehearsals and practices and things you need to be at and still shuffling, even though one mic can drive now. What does the balance of, like, are you do you have a set schedule? Is there a calendar, like, we're going to work these hours during the day, we're not going to work at night? Like, what does that look like for you as a mom?
First of all, I'm flattered that you think we do rehearsals. Like we write a
I
script.
mean, the kids rehearse, like maybe a play
Oh, for
rehearsal
them
or
performing. Oh, like practice.
band or
We don't rehearse anything. Yes. So our lives changed when we hired people
mm.
because he and I had very different jobs within the business. Like I would come up with the idea and he would write it and then we'd shoot it and then we'd post it. And we were running ourselves ragged. There were no boundaries. Everything was about work. And it got very quickly, it got old. And we said, listen, we'd rather be married than have an internet channel. So we need to figure out how we can still be married at the end of this. And we hired people who are still with us to this day. And I love them so dearly. And they took over a lot of the stressful parts of the job and helped us be able to focus more on what we love to do, which is the more creative part, so that at night we're not talking about this. We had we there it's that is I wish we had hired people earlier because they've changed everything. And with the kids, yeah, we do have this flexibility. My daughter's a tennis player, my son plays basketball. So, yeah, I mean, if there's a game, we're going to be there. If there's a tennis match, oh, there's a puppy.
you see them.
Hi. Yeah, so we can cut it off. We do try to stick to a normal schedule. It's kind of hard to do, but Mondays we try to pack in all of our meetings, which it's a slog. But like if we have phone calls, meetings, stuff, we try to do that on Mondays. Tuesdays, we like to shoot our videos. Wednesdays, there's a lot of edit or writing for the next videos. Like Thursdays, we'll record our own podcast. Fridays, we're like pitching new videos, doing writing, like doing the fun stuff on Fridays. And we try to knock off a little earlier, but we try to maintain that sort of loose sort of framework. That's how we can get everything done.
So tell me about kind of the role of ADHD. I feel like Penn in particular has kind of become the poster child for what I love about it is the positivity that he's bringing around it, about how, something that comes across as, oh, I have this diagnosis and there's a lot of negativity around the impact and the effects of it. But it's also such a part of the reason that he is so creative
Mhm.
and just been able to take it and use it for good, even though, you guys are also very frank about how it did impact your relationship and your marriage and him as a
Yeah.
dad and, just all the things. But tell me about that decision to be outspoken about it and even put out the book.
Yeah.
ADHD is awesome.
ADHD is awesome. I am so proud of him. And my name is on the cover of the book, but the imposter syndrome is real because I did contribute. I was a contributor in that I talked about partnering and parenting with ADHD, but he did the lion's share of the work. It was really his vision. And what we were looking for, we could not find. We were looking for research, we were looking for simple explanations, and also we wanted to find the ways in which it doesn't suck because we know that there was gifts. Like Penn knew he had gifts. So when writing this book, we wanted it to be for the mom of the kid, the 8-year-old who just got diagnosed, or the 10-year-old who just got diagnosed. We wanted short chapters, heavy, like a lot of fun graphics for the ADHD brain because it is both. It is really, really challenging. And there are some moments that you wish it wasn't that way. But gosh, like my husband and my son are so spontaneous and they're so energetic and they're so like they see the world in such a different way, and I love it. Like it is, and I think that's their ADHD, and it just the way they see the world and it's just amazing. So yes, there are some parts that really suck, and we do not ignore those parts. Like we talk about those parts in the book too, but man, doesn't everybody talk about how much it sucks? Like the kids, all they hear all day if they're at school is how much it sucks. So can't there be a space to talk a little bit about the upsides too? Because there are upsides. I mean, there is research that has been done that the ADHD brain is more creative. They gave a group of non ADHDers, they asked them describe or draw, what an alien fruit would look like. And it would be, like an apple with teeth or, just it would be the traditional fruit with just like flowers around it or something. The ADHD group, every single one of them, it was just like, a hammer and a claw and everything. It was, new shapes and everything that came back was wildly more outside the box. So their brains can think of things ours can't. And I think we need to celebrate that.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things that I don't know if it's in the book or it was just a quote I read from you in an article, but I thought the way you put it, of course, was brilliant. But you were talking about how, you're real with your kids, and the same dad who's hilarious and the entertainment at the dinner table is the same dad that might forget to pick you up at school.
Yeah, and I feel like that was People Magazine because there was more to it, and then the article stopped. I'm like, we were laughing when we said that. That was kind of a joke, but it is true. Like you don't get in my mind, you don't get this dad who at the dinner table invents a new game. He will invent a new game at the dinner table. And it is, I just look around, I'm like, God, these kids are so lucky. But yeah, what he has done. He hasn't forgotten to pick up a kid at school, but several times he'll go to the wrong school. He'll be like, I'm ready to, where are you? And they're like, wrong school, because, middle school, high school. And so, yeah, the article stopped after that. I'm like, God, I seem like a real ill.
Well, if it's
Yeah.
any solace, I didn't read it like that at all. I actually was like, I so get that,
Yeah,
that
it's
is
both.
what that makes that spontaneous, fun personality. But then you may get some of the flightiness or
Yeah.
forgetfulness or whatever that it may be. What have been some of, you would say, the coolest opportunities or doors that have opened because of a video you put out about Christmas jammies in 2013?
Oh my gosh, that video changed our lives in so many ways. I will say, and I almost don't wanna out them, but we've had well, first of all, we've been able to meet people like you. We've been able to meet some really cool people, and I wanna protect some privacy here, but we were contacted by one of our sort of musical heroes, and, like, he emailed and said, "Oh, I love your stuff." And that was for Penn, crazy, and we've become really good friends with this person. It is interesting the rooms that we're allowed to be in just because we make silly videos. Like, we've met some really, really fascinating people, and we were just joking because we went to the kind of this conference with some fun people, and we had some imposter syndrome because these were some really fancy people. I was like, Holderness, we end up in some weird places. Like, I don't think they know, but we've had a lot of cool opportunity, and it is not lost on us. Like, we are lucky.
Well, Penn's in a Target commercial right now, right? What
Yeah.
is that?
But what is that? Yeah, exactly. What is that? And we know, like, it is still like, it's not normal for us. Like, it is still, like, a big deal for our
I love that's
family.
what makes y'all so lovable though, is the appreciation for and the fact that you're like, "What are we doing in this room?" Right?
Like, I don't do you think they did they accidentally invite us here?
That, made me think about I was curious to know, have you been offered, like, reality television, or have there been talks of people, like, wanting to do something, bigger that would even more greatly impact your day-to-day lives?
Yes, fun fact, and I think it was after this where we said, maybe the kids don't need to be so prominent. We were offered, and I think there was a few episodes of a kind of a reality-based show, but what it was sort of like behind the scenes at our work, and then it would end with, like, a video we produced for a different company, but in between, you would see kind of like home life. I think at the end of the day, we are very boring people, and we don't our fights aren't even that interesting. So I think at the end of the day, we are good for 3 minutes on the internet, but like a 30-minute show about our lives, like, is just not that interesting. We had been pitching a big sort of studio game show that I thought could be really fun because I think Penn would be the perfect game show host. I could be wrong, but I just think what's being produced right now, I think Hollywood's trying to figure out what they wanna greenlight right now and what they wanna spend money on because there's so much competition just from podcasts and Instagram and stuff like that. So, we pitched that for a while and it never really took off. But that I think could have been fun, but reality show, we're far too boring.
Well, I love too that I mean, you kind of found your sweet spot. These 3-minute, like you said, videos, and it's working for you. And
Yeah,
it sounds like your kids have somewhat of a normal teenage existence too. With you get to live in Raleigh. I
yes.
mean, it sounds like a pretty sweet balance.
Yeah, we were at this event one time and it was, write, a goal or write something you need help with or something you want to achieve and you kind of it could be anonymous but you put it out there like a something or if there was somebody in the room that might be able to help you, you could sign your name to it. And I loved the idea, but Penn and I just stared at each other and we're like, "I think we're good." Like, I wanna keep doing this. We're talking about doing another book, we're talking about doing a children's book, but I'm like, "I kinda like what we're doing right now." So, there's not at present, not too much I wanna add to our plate. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you kind of what's next. Tell me about the concept for the children's book.
We, did a book tour with this book, and there were so many families with little ones out there, and their moms and dads were reading the book, which is so sweet, and they could look at the pictures. But they needed a book to understand their own brains. So we're thinking and Penn has already written it, and it's, pretty simple through rhyme to talk about the amazing ADHD brain. And then probably a tween book, like a 10 to 12-year-old book. A lot of teenagers read the book, but that, sort of graphic novel type book that's easily digestible for younger readers. So we're talking about that, and then there's an idea for a, you know, regular nonfiction book. But man, the internet, we, come up with an idea and we put it, on the internet later that day. Books take forever. Books, it's
Yeah.
years
Yeah,
just to
that's what I've heard about that process is that, by the time it's actually in a reader's hands, It's
Years.
probably been years in
Yeah,
the works and the complication of publishing and just all the things that come
it
with
is.
that, for
Yeah,
sure.
it is bananas to me, but years. Yeah.
So you mentioned that earlier today you shot a video. So what is the rhythm of that? Like how soon would you possibly put that out?
That's so well, we shot one today that will probably go out tomorrow because I
Oh,
heard
wow.
Penn upstairs kind of like singing the song behind it. And then it depends. The one we shot today that I feel like is so silly, we started, and I feel like a lot of people do them now, but I'm very proud to say I think we started it, sort of a parody on Hallmark Christmas movies. And we love them so much. And so we did one on like a Hallmark Christmas-ish, but like the main character, me, has perimenopause. So it's like a perimenopause Christmas movie. So stupid, but I'm like, we were kind of laughing the whole time. So that might take like a couple days to edit.
I kind of thought maybe you do them and you bank them and you just hang on, but you're like turning over the content like every week.
Yeah, I think there are moments where we are ahead by a week or two, but that is more rare because last week we had a chance to speak to some classes at UNC Chapel Hill on 3 different days, and we definitely believe in giving back to our community and that service. So we sort of devoted that week to being fake university professors. So we really didn't shoot anything last week. So we have no content in the bank. Like we spent the bank,
Right.
so we have to build it back up.
Yeah, I got. Do you ever run out of ideas, or do you have I know in Nashville, for example, I have a son who's a songwriter. In his phone, there's a note with so many ideas. Do you find yourself doing that if you're at, let's say, Target and you see
Yeah.
and you'll write it down?
Exactly. I have a notes app where and I'll read it a day later. I'm like, "What does that even mean?" Yeah, I will be honest though, there are if I'm very stressed in my own life and it's not something, if my kids are going through something or if my family's going through something and I'm very stressed in my own life, and that's not something we really talk about and share, I have trouble getting very creative. But typically that doesn't last long, and I've been through it enough now that I know it's gonna be okay. I know by in a few days, like, the dust will settle, I'll come to the table with 5 different ideas, but I don't get scared that we're gonna run out of ideas because we're getting older, like, our kids are getting older, like, the content is sort of endless. I can definitely see us. I send there's like this influencer I follow and she's literally just got put into a nursing home. I love every single one of her videos. They are hysterical. And I send them to, she's on TikTok. I send them to like my team, like Anne Marie and Sam who work with us. I'm like, you're gonna be putting, and she'll do like a get ready with me, like to go to the cafeteria.
I wonder if it's the same lady. I can't think of who she is, but oh my
It's a
goodness, her videos are.
granny. Oh my God. She like talks about her ex-boyfriends.
Oh yeah, this is her. Yeah, she's all like, I'm going to a funeral.
Yeah.
Wait, I might meet a man.
Yeah, and she's like,
I send them
"I'm
to my girlfriends
slaying."
all the time. I'm like, this is us.
Yeah, no, I'm like, she's like, "I'm slaying and they're laying in the ground." This, I think, first of all, she's hilarious,
Yeah.
but I could see doing this in some form or fashion forever.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're not going to run out of like life I mean, you're about to hit empty nesting. Just wait for
Yes.
that one.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
there now. That is a
How's
whole,
it going?
my goodness. It is a transition. The
Really?
last one just moved out of the house like last week. And,
Oh my
he
god.
popped over to get some stuff. And I'm like, do you hate it? Are you moving back home? I'm like, I hate it.
I know, it's so funny on the news. I mean, I do worry about the fact that our kids aren't gonna be able to afford houses because everything is so expensive, but
Yes.
I'm just like, "Well, you could just live here. You could just come back and live here." Yeah, so it's like
It's
working out.
not normal, but yes, it's an option. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You talked about your team. How big is your team now? When you think about like where you started and it was just the two of you, what have you grown it to?
Well, we've purposely like, we've never taken on debt, we've never taken a loan, anything like that, so we wanted it to keep things small, so it's, Anne Marie, our CMO, but she does everything from interact she does a lot of the talk. If a brand calls us, she, is talking with them.
He coordinated this podcast.
She coordinated this podcast. She's a good writer and she's really funny. And she appears in our videos as the Midwest neighbor. And then today we were shooting our video and it was supposed to be snowing. And she sat there and threw instant mashed potatoes off camera. Like she did like that. That is like her job. It's so weird. Like she'll be big and fancy and then throwing instant mashed potatoes. And then Sam does like production assistant, camera editing, graphics, updates the website. And then Desmond works with us. He just kind of keeps our lives together and schedules together. And he today was also throwing instant mashed potatoes at us. So there's 3 full timers besides Penn and I.
Well,
So there's
that's
5
kind
of
of a
us.
fun fact to have learned on the podcast is that's what if we see fake snow in your
Well,
videos, it's instant
it's
mashed
instant mashed
potatoes.
potatoes because we didn't, fake snow is kind of plastic and not biodegradable, but instant mashed potatoes, and I'm like, what if my dog got the fake snow, like the plastic snow, but instant mashed potatoes? Yeah.
And the dog just can come behind and
Yeah,
lick them
I
off.
know, I know. I'm like, oh God, Sunny. Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, this has been really fun to talk with you. Is there any exciting, I don't know, something to look forward to that we should be on the lookout for of what's coming up with Kim and Penn?
You're so sweet to offer that opportunity. There probably is, and I'm forgetting because I have perimenopause and brain fog, so I don't know.
Amen. I get it. I get it. Again, it's the relatability. So keep making the videos about perimenopause and all the things that we need to hear about. So well, I love meeting people that are just good people that great things have happened to, and you guys definitely fall into that category. So
Well, thank you, and thank you so much for the chance to talk on your podcast.